Hey, what's going on, guys? Alright, I finally have the full review of the Thrunite Catapult V5 flashlight. This flashlight sells for 150 bucks. For 150 bucks, you know, what are you going to get in a flashlight? Well, you actually get a lot in this particular one. Something also to mention here is that flashlights of this kind don't always appeal to everyone. There's certainly a very useful reason to have a flashlight like this. You could be for your profession. The reason I'm even mentioning this and talking about it a little bit is because some people ask, you know, who buys a $150 flashlight? A lot of people. There's tons of people. I think for the vast majority of people buying flashlights like this, it's because it's a hobby. Just like knives or guns or gear or whatever you're into, flashlights are very much a big hobby for people. And if you're even the slightest bit interested in flashlights and you didn't already know of this website, do yourself a favor and go over to candlepowerforums.com. It is the leading flashlight forum on the planet. You know, the internet, it's the best place you can possibly go to not only educate yourself about flashlights, but meet other really awesome people, men and women of all ages that are really into the hobby. So if this is your thing, that is the place you need to communicate if you do want to spend some time on the forums. It's really interesting if you're interested in a particular flashlight. Don't just watch YouTube videos, although YouTube is the leading place to get information because of the video format. It's very easy to soak up that information in an entertaining fashion. But like I said, as far as the information goes, specifications, there's people over at Candle Power Forums that have their own light boxes. They do all kinds of technical specs that you will never, ever hear or see anywhere else on the internet. All right, so on to the flashlight. So we got the cardboard box here. Open it up. We have our paperwork. You guys know how I feel about Thrunite's paperwork, as well as pretty much every flashlight company today. Specs, everything you need to know about the product is in here, unlike, say, knives and gun stuff. For some reason, the paperwork's so much better with flashlights. But anyway, all right, so first off, the diffuser, which is awesome. I put that to the side. We have, of course, the flashlight, and we also have a holster and a lanyard. Well, I call it sheath. It's large, so because it's large, call it a holster. Yeah, flashlight holster, that sounds good. The fit's always good with these. I rarely ever use them. When I take a flashlight like this out, more times than not, I'm taking it out for a specific purpose to use. If I were to store this in the car, and I was actually thinking about that in the future, storing one of the larger lights that I have left in my vehicle for, say, a searchlight or, just for more visibility. Let's say my car breaks down or something like that. I mean, you can reach out a very long distance with this to get help if you really need to. So as far as storing in a vehicle, this is where this, pouch is going to come in handy. I don't know a whole lot of people who actually use these for their side. However, if you're considering a large flashlight like this for a profession, such as security guard, this is something that you definitely want to know more information about. I don't always focus too much on the sheaths / holsters for flashlights, especially the large ones, because I don't use them personally very often. But this is a very good quality one. And if you were to, say, be a security guard somewhere or some kind of maintenance person and you did want to carry a very powerful large flashlight on your person all the time, this is a good method to carry that. All right, so the quality is definitely there. All materials are solid. I don't have any spots on this one or any of the ones I've had from Thrunite that have been falling apart. Sometimes the cheap Chinese flashlights, you'll get them and the threads kind of falling out and stuff, and they're not very good. This one is very good cushion. Solid Velcro in this one. The button snaps are all tight, so it's really good. If you were to actually use these, I think you'd be happy with this one. Besides that, just the regular standard O-rings, spare O-rings that come with this as well in case they rip or tear. People always ask me where you can find O-rings. Hardware stores. Of course, the internet. I mean, God, we live in 2014. You can get anything you want on the internet. You don't have to rely on brick and mortar stores, but if you do prefer to support them, your local hardware store. And you don't have to go to the big box chain stores. You don't have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot for them. Go to your mom and pop shop that's falling apart with the crickety old wood floors. All right, they'd love to see you walk through the door and buy something, and they'll more than likely have some O-rings for you of all kinds. All right, so on to the flashlight and the diffuser. The diffuser I'm going to hold on off for a second because I want to talk about that last. It's kind of one of the coolest features of this flashlight in my opinion, and one of the reasons why I like this one the most. As far as the technical specs on this, you can find all that information right on the website. I will give you some of the output levels. People do like hearing that in the video. It's kind of like talking about the blade steel a little bit, in a knife review. First off, you'll notice two switches on the side, okay? The first switch on the bottom is to turn it on. All right, once the flashlight's on, the top switch is basically cycling or changing through the modes. It's a very simple UI or user interface. It's very easy to use. When I'm using this flashlight, more oftentimes I will hold it like this. It's very simple. The thumb's right there, turn on and off, okay, or switch through all your different modes. However, I did also find recently it's easy to hold it like this, all right, in the reverse grip, because more of the weight is in the head. Even with the batteries in there. By the way, it takes two 18650 lithium batteries. You can get an extension tube to accept 3 of them, but I only have the other 2. And as far as the form factor, I do like it like this, as opposed to having the third battery in there. But anyway, holding it in reverse grip like this, it's easier to kind of manage this and wield it around, and just use your fingers on top to turn it on. And of course, you could switch over or use another finger to change the modes. So just a quick little tip, I like holding like this, it's just a little bit more comfortable. All right, I'm gonna go over some of the light outputs and runtimes real quick. Again, you can find this information direct on the website, but a lot of people like seeing the video. Turn the flashlight on again. We're gonna start off in basically the low mode here. The low mode is 80 lumens. This is a little different. A lot of the flashlights in today's market have like a candlelight or moonlight mode. This flashlight does not. You can see that, of course, as a drawback. For the particular usage of this flashlight, for me, this is an emergency flashlight. If I really need a lot of light in a pinch, I'm going to go to something like this. And it's also just a hobby light for me. It's something to go out at night, look for wildlife, look up into the trees, really reach out and light something up. So it's a fun light. If I were to use this for a profession, I may want that tiny candlelight mode. It's also good for emergency situations. So the only real drawback to this, it doesn't have that like half lumen setting that lasts you 5 years straight. It's kind of a crazy thing that I don't think a lot of people actually use. There's no practical reason to have that other than emergency purposes, in my opinion. If you're in a camp situation or something and your life is relying basically on those batteries, that's where that type function, where you can still use light a little bit, but not worry about those batteries dying out on you anytime soon. That's where it kind of shines, no pun intended. But anyway, you don't have that on this. The lowest light function for this particular light is 80 lumens, but you do get that 1344 minute runtime, which is not too shabby. All right, so as we kick it up a notch, we go to 400 lumens for 305 minutes. Kick it up again to 750 lumens for 140 minutes. And by the way, you could feel the heat that's coming off of this flashlight even right now at 750 lumens. A lot of times you'll see these flashlights, they have like a fin design. It's purposeful. It's not just for looks, okay? It dissipates the heat. And a lot of times these flashlights will have like copper on the inside of the head and all these different methods of basically cooling down those LEDs. As LED technology gets better and better, the flashlight's powers get higher and higher. There's more energy and there's more heat emitted. This is something that never used to be a problem with LEDs because they weren't as powerful, but technology is advancing. So you do have to be able to dissipate that heat. As far as Catapult running on the two 18650s, I never had a problem with it overheating or breaking in any way. Pretty much any flashlight I've used to date, not just Thrunite. All right, so these methods of cooling off the head and LEDs have been very effective. Now, one more notch up, and we're in our full 1500 lumens. You get a 70-minute runtime. If you hold down that second button that's on top, it goes to strobe. The strobe will be 1000 lumens for 75 minutes. What I like about Thrunite strobe is that it changes the frequency. You'll see right now it's really fast, and then changes to a slower frequency. Something worth focusing a little bit more on is that strobe, okay? Strobe mode is something some people like, some people don't like. In my opinion, it's for defense purposes. Unless you're throwing a rave party at your house or some kind of house party, the only reason you want strobe on your flashlight is because you want to be able to use it for defense. And some people kind of laugh at that idea. They scoff at the idea of using your flashlight to defend yourself. It is very effective, and I've shown this in past videos as well. Strobe completely disorientates a person at night. You cannot see, and if you're an attacker or a bad situation arises, if that person or animal can't see you, it can't attack you. Okay, so strobe is a very effective weapon to use to basically get out of the situation. You use a strobe on a person who wants to attack you, or use it on an animal that may be a threat to you to get out of the situation. As many of you know, I carry a gun. I also carry multiple knives on me. I don't always want to use them. if I get into a situation, whether it's a person or a bear or a mountain lion or who knows what, if I have the opportunity or capability to use my flashlight, okay, to get out of that situation, I'd love to do that, okay? Resorting to any kind of physical harm on either a person or animal would be the last resort. Something as simple as a dog, you know, there's a lot of nasty dogs out there. And if you come into a situation where, you know, it's you facing against a barking dog, okay, who may attack you, you don't necessarily want to take your gun out and shoot that animal, okay, or take a knife out and slit its throat. That is brutal. It's something not everyone can physically do. It's a mental thing. If you could take your flashlight out and throw a strobe on it, okay, so it maybe scares the animal away or, you know, disorientates the animal enough so you can get away, that's fantastic. So I really, really love, you know, having a strobe feature in flashlights. But the fact that this has a frequency changing strobe, it goes from super fast to, you know, a slower strobe and then back to super fast. What that does is that doesn't allow the eye of the animal or a person to adjust to the strobe, all right? If you're, you know, walking around at night, your pupils are very large because you want to take in as much light as possible to see in a very dark situation. If you have something like a flashlight quickly turn on in front of your eyes, your pupils, you know, they shrink up because it's too much light. It has to shrink up real quick. You can't see very easily. But even if a strobe is on you, a standard strobe, if you're staring at that, all right, after a certain period of time, and it could be within a minute, your eyes start to adjust to that light, okay? And you can see better even with that strobe on you. Having a frequency changing strobe, it makes it much harder to adjust your eyes to that, okay? That's why I like it. It's just another, you know, step up, another level up into being a more effective defensive flashlight feature. And I really like that. It's very cool. So anyway, just something, you know, worth mentioning. If you guys aren't into the 18650s on this light, this also accepts 4 CR123s, as most do. I do really prefer the 18650s. I've talked about CR123s before in the past. It's not the end of the world, but if you have a flashlight with that takes multiple CR123 cells, you do have possible dangers that you really need to make yourself aware. You need to educate yourself, because if you do things like put a brand new one in next to a, you know, an empty one or a dead cell, it transfers energy. It could overheat. It could explode. It could, you know, start a fire. It's very dangerous. You know, it emits poisonous gases. Now, there's thousands of people who do it. In fact, there's a lot of CR123s being used in the military. It's not a very common problem, but it is very much a real danger. So, like I said, you want to educate yourself if you want to use multiple cells. That's why I do really just prefer using the 18650s. Never had a problem with them. Plus, they're rechargeable. All right, it just makes sense. It's more cost effective in the long term, especially if you're playing with your flashlights a lot. The coolest thing about the Catapult is that this thing has a very deep reflector in there. Okay, let's take a look at that LED. That's a Cree XML2U2. When you're ordering this light, if you have a preference, they do offer this both in neutral or cool white, and it does make a difference. And I will show the difference in the future in more flashlight videos. All right, so some people definitely have a preference of more of like a white light or a slightly bluish tint. It just depends on your preference, but you can, you know, select which one you want. The last thing I really want to talk about with this flashlight is the fact that it does have a deep reflector and it is a throw monster. And I've done videos already showing the, you know, beam shots of this. This thing reaches out and lights something up further than your eyes can see, which is awesome. All right. But the coolest part of it is that it comes with a really nice quality diffuser. And what this diffuser allows you to do is basically create a wall of light. If you don't always need to use your flashlight for long distance, let's say you just want to light up the side of your house at night for some kind of project or something, or maybe it's just for security purposes. You hear a bump in the night, nothing's going on inside, you want to check out your property, walk around the backyard or whatever. You don't want a tight beam that's going to shoot a mile. You know what I mean? You don't want that. You want a wall of light so you can see any possible threat, whether it be person or animal. That's where this diffuser comes in handy. All right, it's basically just a you know, frosted piece of glass. Okay, so it diffuses the light. That's the purpose of it. It scatters the light all around every direction, as opposed to, you know, the reflector, which reflects it in a very tight beam. It's very, very high quality. You have a snap on the side, okay, which basically tightens the diameter a little bit. So you open this up, you can see, okay, it widens diameter so you can pop it on very easily. When you go to put this on, if you're struggling putting it on, just literally push that open more. It's a very loose fit. And then this snugs it down, okay? So it does not want to pull off very easily at all. It's on there very, very tightly. I can't imagine anything you're gonna do where that thing's gonna accidentally fall off. All right, it's very large, so some people might not like the form factor of it, maybe a little cumbersome to some. Some people might prefer just a lens on the front, but I like this system. There's a latch on the front. All right, so basically you can use this with or without the diffuser, which is nice. If you were to kind of clamp this on the head of the flashlight and store it this way, but you don't always want to use it, when you lift this little tab, it hinges completely around. All right, now I did show this in the beam shots. It is not really affected at all by having this on. In other words, the difference between having this on and open as opposed to having it off completely is almost unnoticeable. It's not that big of a difference. There is a slight ring, okay? So keep that in mind. You'll get a slight ring with this when using it with it open. But for me and for my purposes, it didn't really make much of a difference. All right, extremely functional. Like I said, complete wall of light, throwing 1500 lumens with the diffuser. There's no hotspots anywhere, there's no artifacts, there's no shadows, nothing. It is just a nice wall of light. It's absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, I can't capture on film, on camera, how much light this really puts out. Okay, I did my beam shots and stuff with it, but the diffuser is an awesome, awesome feature. And I just like the fact that you don't have to take it off real quick. If you just, quickly need something, you can pop that open, all right, to use. So just awesome, awesome flashlight. Catapult V5 is, to date, my favorite large or more powerful flashlight. It's just super, super cool. So anyway, that's my full review of this flashlight. This is one that I hope to hang on to for a long time. Especially the bigger lights, it's kind of hard because, you know me, I have tons and tons of hobbies. So if I was just in the flashlights, I would have probably 30 or 40 of just the big lights, because they're not only extremely fun, but they're extremely useful, and they are very practical. But unfortunately, being a little bit more expensive, I don't always hang on to them. All right, I always, barter and trade and stuff like that. But this is to speak of how much I like this flashlight. Out of all the ones that I've ever tried, this is the one that I want to hold on to the most, and hope I never have to trade or sell or anything like that. It is a fantastic flashlight. Very, very functional and very, very cool. Like I said, if you guys are in the market for a large flashlight, $150, it's hard to beat. There's a lot of options out there, and a lot of different flashlights have their pros and cons, but I love the versatility with this flashlight, the fact that this diffuser comes with it, okay? If this was $150 and this was $50, you know what I mean? It'd still be cool, but it might not be worth it. The fact that for $150, you do get the diffuser with it, a very nice high quality diffuser, and that's what makes it so versatile. If it was just this, it's awesome, maybe not my favorite in the world. The fact that it comes with this and the fact that I can do a full wall of light, it is my favorite large flashlight I've ever used. So very, very cool. And it's gonna be hard to beat, in the future, finding something I like more than this. But anyway, that's it. That's the Thrunite Catapult V5. Awesome flashlight. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Take care.